Chris and his son moved into the bathroom of a subway station. Life was tough, but he didn't want his son to know the cruelty of reality. He only wanted to protect his son's innocence. Chris had been unemployed for a long time, with savings of less than $200, 3 months behind on rent, and his car towed away due to tickets. His wife took on 2 jobs to support the family, but the pressure left her exhausted. Their troubles began 2 years ago when Chris spent all his savings on medical equipment that he couldn't sell. Every day, he took the machine to hospitals to promote it, forcing a smile while feeling utterly exhausted inside. One day, he met a stockbroker and learned that the job only required good math skills and interpersonal communication abilities. Despite his wife's objections, Chris decided to give it a shot. He applied for an internship at a securities firm, but his resume received no response. So, Chris waited outside the company for a month until he finally met the HR manager. In a chance encounter, Chris had a conversation with the manager in his car and impressed him with his ability to solve a Rubik's Cube quickly. However, Chris was forced to run away without paying for the ride, resulting in a police chase and his life falling into an even deeper predicament. His wife told him she was leaving with their son, leaving Chris feeling heavy-hearted, but he still faced it with strength. When he got home, he begged the landlord for a 1-week extension and started painting the apartment for rent. Eventually, the manager called to inform Chris about an interview. On the day of the interview, Chris was detained and couldn't arrive on time, but he still went to the interview with paint stains, honestly explaining the situation and earning the interviewer's trust. Despite only having a high school education, the interviewer was moved by his sincerity and gave him the internship opportunity. The unpaid internship was full of challenges, but Chris never gave up. Every day, he was the first to arrive at the company and the last to leave. Despite the immense pressure in his life, he persisted in his work, focusing on finding clients. After months of hard work, Chris finally found an important client, Jack, and met more influential people through sincere communication. A few months later, he successfully sold the medical equipment, and life improved somewhat. However, because he hadn't paid taxes, the government garnished Chris's wages, leaving him completely bankrupt. The landlord threw his belongings outside, and life was once again in turmoil. However, Chris never let his son notice these changes. He told his son that the equipment was a time machine, taking them back to the age of dinosaurs, continuing a heartwarming game. Chris took his son into a public restroom, locked the door, laid out toilet paper, and his son innocently believed it was a game, falling asleep in his father's arms. Despite tears in his eyes, Chris firmly believed that life had to go on. In the end, Chris's relentless efforts earned him a formal job at the securities firm. Years later, he founded his own brokerage company, and he and his son no longer struggled to make ends meet, but instead took leisurely walks together.